America, we are back, baby. Welcome to another episode of America Unfiltered. We got a great show for you guys today. We have some fun topics to talk about. It's not going to be a crazy long show. Again, it's just a painfully slow news day. It's been slow ever since like mid-November or so, but we do have some things to talk about. I want to talk about the Epstein files being released tomorrow, but I also want to talk about what's going to happen with that and why we should not really get our expectations up. It's pretty clear that the FBI is going to be redacting a lot of the information, that the FBI is going to be hiding a lot of the stuff that we are supposed to see from the American people. Us, the American taxpayers, are not allowed to get actual transparency because we're nothing to them. They don't give a shit about us. We are nothing to them. When they say they're the most transparent administration of all time, what they means is they can just fuck us over anytime they want. They don't care about actual transparency. If they cared about transparency, the JFK files would have been searchable. We would have actually got the 9/11 files, not just Tucker Carlson's 9/11 documentary. We would get the Epstein files without redactions. But no, that doesn't seem to be happening. It seems that we are going to get fucked once again. So we'll talk about that today. I also do want to talk a little bit more about white replacement. I've talked about this a lot on this show, but white people are being replaced, not only in America, but throughout the entire world. They're being replaced in the job markets. They're being replaced around the country. So I want to dive into that today. That will be another topic. And then we'll end the day doing a reaction to Nick Fuentes and Sneako's collaboration stream they did in New York City. This happened last week. Some of you guys may have seen it, some may have not, but we'll talk about that today. It will be a fun day. I want to remind everyone to like, smash the follow button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. All the comments will read at the end of the show today, and I want to remind everyone to join our Telegram channel, stay updated on all things America Unfiltered. But with that, I do want to get right into the show. Let's get our big screen pulled up. I want to show you guys this over here. So this it's from America First Post. The Justice Department has attorneys scrambling to review and redact thousands of pages of Jeffrey Epstein-related documents ahead of the Friday release deadline. The workload is immense, with some lawyers handling more than 1,000 pages each since Thanksgiving week, making the redaction effort highly time-intensive and likely to go down to the last minute. So they're spending thousands of hours, hundreds of hours, thousands of pages of there's going to be just that many redactions in these files right now. We're not going to actually get shit. We're not really going to get any new information. I doubt we get the actual client list. I doubt we find out anything more than we already know. They're going to try and pitch this like Donald Trump never lied. Donald Trump came and said to the American people, Epstein is a hoax. Epstein is fake. If you're still talking about Epstein, what are you doing? I don't even want your support anymore. Donald Trump is full of shit. We all know it. Donald Trump has been full of shit for a very long time. Donald Trump saying that he doesn't want our support if we still want answers on Epstein. Like, what the fuck is that about? But that's where we're at this point. And what they're most likely going to do is redact anything involving Donald Trump's name, redact anything involving any GOP donors. They might try and bury some Democrats. Maybe they'll leave Bill Gates or Bill Clinton or some of those guys in there, but they're not going to leave much in there. They will try and bury Epstein again from beyond the grave. Maybe they'll do something with Ghislaine Maxwell. They will most likely, like I said, bury Bill Clinton and try and bury Bill Gates and bury people who are on the left. Alan Dershowitz, he'll be acquitted. He'll walk. Nothing will fucking happen. Donald Trump, it's like he never knew the guy, apparently. This is what's most likely to happen. And it's very clear that we have an administration who doesn't actually give a shit about transparency, but cares about their own egos. They care about how people perceive them. They care about nothing more than PR. We have an administration who is okay lying to the American people, to the people who voted and campaigned for them. We have an administration who is willing to waste taxpayer dollars, tasking the Justice Department and the FBI with redacting these files, hiding any files that have Donald Trump's name. I mean, we literally have multiple investigations going on around the country. But no, the most important task for the FBI right now, guys, is redacting the Epstein files. I mean, it's imperative to the success of Donald Trump's administration. It's absurd. We're being sold a crock of shit. We're being sold a bill of lies. We're being told that everything's okay and that nothing actually happened and that the Epstein thing was a hoax. But was it a hoax when Donald Trump for years campaigned on that? When Donald Trump for years said that I'm going to release the Epstein information? Was that a hoax? Was it a hoax then? Or did it only become a hoax after you found out how many times your fucking name was in there, Donald Trump? It's absolutely absurd. And the amount of ties there is from Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump's administration to Jeffrey Epstein, it's insane. You have Alan Dershowitz, the pedophile lawyer who represented both of them. You also have Pam Bondi, who worked as the Attorney General in the state of Florida. Jeffrey Epstein was committing a lot of his sex crimes within the state of Florida, and it was known by the state of Florida, but they still chose to do nothing about it. You have William Barr, whose father hired Jeffrey Epstein at the Dalton School, and then when he became later the Attorney General under Donald Trump, he oversaw the death of Jeffrey Epstein, which they called a suicide. But the top coroner in the country said, no, it's not a suicide. This was clearly a murder. But everyone ignored that for some reason, especially the Trump administration. Donald Trump was president when Jeffrey Epstein was killed. Donald Trump was president when the files were buried. And yes, we could put a little bit of blame on the Democrats for not releasing the files when they were in there. But they also didn't release the files because their donors are guilty as well. So again, everybody in this is guilty in the government, but the Republicans and the Republican establishment and the Donald Trump administration is very guilty. They oversaw the death. They oversaw the burial of the files. Donald Trump was personal friends with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Donald Trump in the files, it literally says he gave fucking head to Bill Clinton. Like, what the fuck is that? That's absolutely insane. So I don't know exactly what we're going to see tomorrow, but I don't want anyone to get their hopes up. Most likely, we're not going to get shit. Most likely, we're going to get a very redacted version of these files, and I'm talking entire pages redacted. No client list. We're not really going to get anything of substance. Maybe we'll get a couple headlines here and there. Maybe they'll even do something tonight or tomorrow morning to try and distract from this. Maybe something with Venezuela, maybe something else. I'm not sure. But it is very clear that we're not actually going to get any real information on the Epstein files, and that's very sad. And especially when it comes from Donald Trump's administration, the administration who promised transparency over everything, that they were going to put the people first, not the interests of lobbyists. But it seems like the interests of lobbyists have completely taken over Donald Trump's administration, and Donald Trump's ego has taken over the rest. So I don't think we're getting anything, and I don't want to keep repeating myself. I want to keep moving on with the topics. We only have a couple more things I want to show you on X, and then I do want to get over into our reaction to the Nick Fuentes and Sneako collaboration. But this I saw, we're talking a little bit about, actually, let's go here first. This is really important because New York City was founded and built by European immigrants. New York City had a huge white population, and if you look, in 1910, 98% of the population of New York City was white. And then as you go down over time, and after they get rid of the Hart-Celler Act, or because of the Hart-Celler Act, you now look, when it gets to 2020, we're at 32%. 32%, and they wonder why New York City has turned to a shithole. They wonder why New York City is ridden with crime. They wonder why New York City is ridden with homeless people, why it is so fucking out of whack, why it was one of the greatest cities, and now it's one of the worst cities. It is because of the decline in the white population. When you take the founding stock of this country and you systematically try and replace them, you remove them, you outprice them from the location that they built themselves, their ancestors built, you are going to get a city that is run like shit. You are going to get a city that operates like shit. You're going to get a city filled with crime, filled with homeless people, that eventually turns into a socialist fucking nightmare. And that's what's happening in New York City. I mean, people are so fucking woke and annoying in New York City, and that's only one part of the problem, but it's also too expensive. You rent out a shoebox for $3,000 a month, and you're supposed to be happy with it. You have a kind of shit life in New York City in a lot of ways, and it's such a beautiful place. I grew up around there. I hold New York City close to my heart, but the declining white population in New York City is one of the big reasons that the city is falling. And it's not just New York City. This is something that's happening around the country and around the globe. I'm pretty sure the white population around the globe is now under 10%. I mean, this is getting to be a real problem. This is ethnic cleansing. This is a genocide. This is happening in front of our eyes, but nobody's talking about it, and the politicians definitely aren't talking about it. So it's very sad that this is what we're dealing with, and that my race is becoming extinct. My race is just completely dying off in this country, and nobody is trying to do anything to stop it. And I want to bring you guys over to this, and I want to read this post to you, because it also applies to Gen Z, but it's written about millennials. But it goes, millennial white men never stood a chance. Something extraordinary happened to millennial white men in professional America between 2014 and 2024, and we're only now starting to talk about it honestly. These numbers are staggering. White men dropped from 48% of entry-level TV writers in 2011 to under 12% by 2024. In academia, they fell from 39% of humanities tenure track hires at Harvard in 2014 to 18% by 2023. At UC Irvine, 64 tenure track professors were hired in humanities and social sciences since 2020. Only 3 were white men. This wasn't some gentle rebalancing, it was a generational purge dressed up as progress. Here's what makes this particularly brutal. The older white men stayed exactly where they were. Gen X guys run the New York Times Magazine, still hold senior positions across Hollywood, still dominate university departments. They implemented diversity mandates that fell entirely on entry-level positions, locking out the generations behind them while protecting their own perches. The timing was everything. If you were 40 and established in 2014, you were fine. If you were 30 and trying to break in, you hit a wall. One generation apart, completely different professional fates. I think this was written by ChatGPT. This screams ChatGPT, but either way. And it was explicit. Internal Hollywood agency documents from 2017 show mandates from writers' rooms, diverse women and diverse only, emphasis on African Americans. The Disney Writing Program awarded 107 fellowships over a decade, 0 to white men. This wasn't unconscious bias. It was policy. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows that what people really want to see in Hollywood is just more diversity. I mean, that's what we're practically begging for. I mean, that's the whole point of the show, right, guys? Every day we're just screaming, more diversity in Hollywood. I want less white people in my movies. Oh, it's fucking sick. Medical schools went from 31% white male students in 2014 to 20.5% by 2025. Law schools dropped from 31.2 to 25.7 in 8 years. At Amazon, mid-level managers fell from 55.8% white male in 2014 to 33.8% in 2024. At Google, white men went from nearly half the workforce to under a third. These weren't mediocre guys getting passed over. They were watching less experienced candidates with the right demographic profile leap past them. Journalists applying to dozens of positions with 0 callbacks. Academics making it to the final interview round 5 times and never getting hired. Screenwriters told point blank that rooms already had too many white guys. The refugees these men found, crypto, podcasting, Substack, anywhere without institutional gatekeepers. For a decade, liberal institutions insisted this wasn't happening, that any white man complaining was just mediocre, just bitter, but the numbers don't lie. An entire cohort got systematically locked out, and they called it justice. Absolutely insane that this happened. I mean, absolutely fucking insane. White people are being replaced. White people are not only being replaced, we're being discriminated against. We're being discriminated against in our own country that our founding stock built. And they want to tell us it's okay. And this is also what I talk about a lot when I talk about the generational divide. I mean, there's a massive generational divide where boomers and Gen Xers don't seem to actually understand what's happening to the white, straight Christian men who are in Gen Z, millennials, and soon to be Gen Alpha as well. We have a massive divide where people are like, should I red pill my parents? Should I tell them this? They don't seem to get it. And they don't get it because they didn't live it. When they grew up and they were in these big cities, they were primarily white. When they grew up, they could buy a house for $32 and a chicken. When they grew up, everything wasn't expensive. The dollar actually had value. Women weren't sleeping with 1,000 guys in a day. I mean, the world was a way better place back in the day. And right now we're losing American values. We're losing America. We're losing the white culture in America. We're losing American culture, and we're losing it all in front of our eyes, and nobody's doing shit about it. They're actually celebrating it. I played a video just the other day on the show where you had all these people on the left in Hollywood, etc., who were celebrating the decline in the white population in America. White people deserve to live. Not only do we have a right to live and survive, we have a right to succeed in our own country. We built this fucking country. This is our country. And I'm not saying it has to be whites only, but it should be white majority, and it kind of needs to be if we want America to actually succeed. We deserve it. We are the founding stock of this country. My ancestors built part of this country, but I'm told that I should be replaced in it because I'm a straight white Christian man. I'm not a gay black Jew, so they don't give a shit about me. That's what we're currently dealing with in this country. That's the problems we're currently facing that nobody seems to want to fix. It's absolutely fucking absurd. But the generational divide is very real. I mean, I argue with people older than me all the time, and they really don't understand. They're just like, oh, you just have to work harder. You got to apply to more jobs. Why don't you go in person and give them your resume? Why don't you do, like, all these fucking things? That if they just realize that they are not hiring people because they're white. That's the reason they're not hiring people. It's because they're white. It's not because they didn't put in the effort. It's not because they don't work. It's not because they're lazy or have bad work ethic. No, it's because they're white. It's because they're men. It's because they're not gay. It's because they don't check a fucking diverse box for one of these companies to go celebrate one day. That's what's happening in this country, and nobody seems to give a shit about it. So we need people to stand the fuck up and speak their minds about it, because I'm pissed off, and I am so up in arms about this. This is happening, and we need to stop it. By 2045, we will be the minority in our own country. And do you really want your kids growing up in that? You hear the way these people talk about white people. If you're a young person, you hear the way these young YNs and all these immigrants and minorities talk about white people. They do not like us. They hate us, actually. A lot of them want us dead. They openly say that with no shame or remorse. If I said that, I mean, I would be put on a list. I might be arrested, hate speech, hate crime, whatever the fuck. But no, they could say it all they want. Sneako did an entire video about it where he asked people, do white lives matter? And they were like, honestly, fuck those people. Fuck white people. Like, how is that okay? We built this country, but they fucking hate us. It's absolutely absurd. And these people, these young people in this country, they understand. It's like, if we grow up in a society where our children are the minority in it, the white people are the minority, there will be violence. There will be kids getting jumped all the time. There will be nonstop chaos in this country that we will not be able to control. So I am urging every young white Christian man, every young white man, you don't even have to be Christian, but you should be. But every young white man in this country, use your voice. Get into positions of power. Become the donor class. Become the politicians. Become someone who can make real change, because we need real change. And if we don't get it soon, we will die off. This is do or die at this point. I mean, we will die off. White people will die off in America, in the world, if we are not able to make some sort of massive change in the country and the trend in which it's currently going. And if we can't change the attitudes of some of the people here, we really need to think about maybe deporting. Like, I don't even know what we do, but there are people who literally just hate white people for being white. They hate white people for slavery, even though white people was one of the first races to end slavery. And it started in America because black people were selling black people. That's how it started. The black people were selling the other black people to the white people. And it was mainly of a certain religious group. You guys know what I'm getting at there. Those were mainly the people who owned the boats and who were facilitating the Atlantic slave trade. We'll get into that topic another day. I do want to move on. Like I said, it's not going to be a crazy long show today. There's really just not a lot in the news, but I wanted to share my thoughts on that, especially after I saw Donald Trump's speech last night. I mean, that was just so absurd. You'd think Donald Trump would have done better than that. He kind of wasted everybody's time. I did a live reaction to it, and I went off after the speech as well and gave my opinions on it. I thought the entire fucking thing was absurd. But yeah, let me get this reaction video pulled up. Let me get the Nick Fuentes Sneako video pulled up, because that's what we're going to be reviewing today. And I to be honest, I haven't watched the full thing. I've just seen clips. So we'll be watching it together for the first time. But yeah, I'm very upset with the trend this country's going in right now. I'm very upset with the lack of people who are willing to stand up and fight for this. And I don't mean like literally fight. I just mean use your voices. Have some fucking balls. That's what I mean. With that, let's get into the reaction. Again, I want to remind everyone to like, smash the follow button, leave a comment. We'll read all the comments at the end of each show. Rate the show 5 stars on Spotify. Follow on Spotify. But yeah, let's get this reaction pulled up here. I'm going to put my headphones in. Should be a good one.
Buddy, welcome back. This is my first stream back on YouTube in 3 years. Over 3 years.
Wow.
And essentially the guy that was responsible, not responsible, but part of the reason Hey. Part of the reason I got banned was because the collaboration. It is true, I got 2 strikes, and then the first one back here is with the same man, Nick Fuentes. Welcome back.
Up? Good to be back.
Yeah, happy to be here on YouTube. Sorry we had party difficulties. I think the groypers were too deep, and it seems like the website was working fine earlier. I just did a stream on party, but it's just emotion. The generational run is It's crazy right now. How you doing, Nick?
I'm good. I'm chilling.
Should we explain why I have a tux on and you don't?
Yeah, let's do it.
So there was just an inaugural ball pretty close by, and it was the Young Republicans event. Baton was speaking there. He was hosting. I was luckily invited, and so was Nick. And then, what happens to Nick happens. What happened?
Yeah, well, they said I might be able to go, which they do every year at NYYRC. They say, well, we're working on it. We might be able to get you in. And they told me I was invited. I was going to be in the VIP section. I'm going to be a guest. And then, as usual, they canceled me. They disinvited me. They told me I can't come. I guess there was going to be a big revolt in the club if I was going to be there. But I already had my stuff booked, so I said, fuck it, I'll just come to New York and ball out anyway.
We got to hang out. We just had a nice dinner. Out of 10, how was it?
That was a 10 out of 10.
That was a 10? Let's go.
10. Mm-hmm.
That's good. Always good to catch up with Nick. It's always cool to see you when you're here in the city. And I'm glad you came, man. It's a white Christmas. It's snowing outside.
Yes.
Christmas. Yeah. I love Christmas. What do you
Me
like?
too.
I love Christmas. I always repeat that all the time. People are upset. I said Christmas is I did kind of rage bait, but I said it was a goy slap holiday. But there are some traditions in there. Like there's no evidence, for example, that Christmas is Jesus' birthday, correct?
No, there's Christians who would argue that he was born on the 25th of December.
There's no biblical evidence of that, right?
I don't know. I mean, this is an argument that's been going on a long time, and books have been written about it. I haven't brushed up on the arguments why Christmas has to do with trees and is on the 25th and all that, but there's Catholics that have defended that.
Okay.
I don't know the arguments, though.
Yeah, I was talking about how, the materialistic aspect of it, buying presents, the reindeer has nothing to do with Jesus. And,
well, the presents are biblical because the Magi give the gifts.
But it's been commercialized a lot. That's my point.
Yeah, Charlie Brown. Yeah, okay. That's America. We buy stuff. We buy shit.
Well, that's my point, is that it's a holiday, but it's become more of a cultural thing than a religious thing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that to an extent, but the religion is the core of it. Without the Christ in the center of it, it loses its meaning. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, Christmas isn't just about the trees and the ornaments and the gifts. It's about, even all the movies, it's about the spirit of Christmas.
It is. I love the Christmas spirit is palpable. You can see it in New York right now. I love it. I love the lights. I like the trees. I like the spirit. I love the family time. My family's Catholic. I go to church. I go to mass with them. I love it. But also today was SantaCon. And did you get to see some of SantaCon? My point is that culturally, right, like all these people come in from Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut to get drunk in Midtown, put on Santa hats, and then do a bar crawl. Mm-hmm. That's the part where it becomes less religious and just more of a cultural thing, similar to most other American, like St. Patrick's Day, an excuse to get drunk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's like degenerates out there, but I view that as like a deviation from what Christmas really is. I mean, it's like Halloween. People do that on Halloween.
I like Halloween. Halloween is a satanic holiday, but I like it. See, people,
but it didn't used to be. It's the night before All Saints Day is where it comes from.
Isn't that the day, like right before all the evil spirits are outside, right before the Saints Day?
Something like that, yeah. Because November 1st is All Saints Day. It's a holy day of I think it's a holy day of obligation. So, and that one, there's like a lot of Catholics who will say you should dress up as like saints for Halloween. I'm like, that's really lame though. Like there was this Catholic guy named Mike Voris who I talked to once, and he said, on Halloween, we should dress up like popes and the apostles and the saints. I'm like, yeah, but kids want to be like Anakin. Kids want to be like a Transformer.
Spider-Man.
Or, Ninja Turtle. Like, that's kind of, don't all the saints, aren't you just going to be in like medieval clothes anyway? It's like all going to be the same costume, so.
And then the adults, it's turned into, you see what the women wear, you see
Yeah. It's a big horror holiday.
But regardless of Christmas and the event today, which was, I had fun there. I enjoyed it. You should have came.
I wish I was.
No, that sucks. That's very unfortunate. But you've been on a crazy run this year since it feels cool to be back on YouTube. First saw you 3 years ago. You were there knifing the camera, and you were talking about how horrors are ruining society. And I'm like, this is dope. I sent you the first clip recently where I first saw you, and I always had a positive reaction. We did a lot of streams on YouTube when I was really at the peak of my popularity, and then kept doubling down, tripling down. And now you're here. You've had a crazy year. It's coming to a close. The beefs are warming up, but not only that, it seems like the pushback has quadrupled in a response to how much you're growing.
Yeah, well, it always goes like that. It's always like I do really well, I blow up, I'm getting popular, and then in equal measure, the pushback and resistance and the haters, the attacks.
I like doing the Sneako reactions when Nick and Sneako collab, because I honestly think Sneako gives Nick better questions than almost anybody else. Sneako's really good at interviewing people.
Then kind of trails that just slightly, so... it's been an unbelievable year. I mean, and I guess the way that I look at it is similar to you, I was on a trajectory where I started in 17 and it was all on the up, 18, 19, 20, 21. And then I got nuked from orbit after 21, after J6. I got banned from everything.
No fly lists, bank accounts.
Yeah, the whole deal. And it took me like 4 years to claw my way out of that. And the country changed, because of the pandemic and BLM and all that stuff. The country literally changed. And for the first time, censorship moved in the opposite direction, where it's opening up instead of closing down. And so 2025 is the first full year that I'm on Twitter. My clips aren't banned on Instagram. I can go on YouTube like we are now as a guest. Consequently, people were ready for the message at the same time. So it's kind of just like the perfect storm.
Everything coming at the same time. And you've had a lot of huge collabs recently. So you're coming. Last time I saw you, I remember bringing up Tucker Carlson, and it was like, yeah, something. And I didn't sense right there, okay, he's going to go on the Tucker Carlson podcast. And then we had Thanksgiving dinner. We had shared Thanksgiving dinner together. And there, I became aware that you were going to do the Piers Morgan show.
Yes.
Which was super. So you're coming off of some huge collabs. And then you've all seen the response, but I was saying at dinner, it's like long lasting. You did a great job on this podcast, not to glaze, but you did it. It's going to stand the test of time. So
Thank you.
How have you? What's the back? Since you did all these shows, you could see, what Piers is saying, and I've seen people start talking about his family because he started talking about your family. I see some weird things that I don't really want to get into. Maybe if you want to. And then Tucker, it's like you were beefing. It was like, I am America. And CIA. Yeah. That was dope. I remember sending you the recording of that live. I was like, oh, this is dope.
Thanks. Yeah.
And then
this is one of the best.
Now
streams.
You're back on bad terms. I saw he dissed you recently on a new tech podcast. So what is that like? What's his? You're cool with Candace, and then what is really happening right now?
Well, I think that at the end of the day, I am the alternative. Alternative is actually a very powerful word in the political lexicon, because basically after World War II, there's a consensus in Europe that because fascism created the war, and fascism was a reaction to communism, their doctrine was, it's called there is no alternative. TINA, there is no alternative. Like the German Constitution is based on this, the European Union is based on this, and what that means is there's no alternative to liberalism. Center-left, center-right liberalism is the doctrine of Europe. There's no alternative to it, not on the right, not on the left, not far right, not far left. And so this is where in the American conversation, you get the alternative right. Mm-hmm. You get in Germany, the alternative for Deutschland, the AfD party. And I guess what I represent is I am the alternative. I'm the other option. In contrast to liberalism, which says that everyone's a blank slate, which says that, basically what all these people are, what they all have in common, Piers Morgan, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, where we disagree is that at the end of the day, they are liberals. And by that I mean, like Tucker, what is our disagreement? He goes on All In and says tribalism is evil. White identity politics is the same as BLM and, Zionism and all the other identity politics. His position is we need these like universal principles, like we're not going to harm each other, we're not going to steal from each other, as long as everyone's raising their children with the same values, that we're all going to get along. And that's a liberal viewpoint. This is like blank slateism, individualism. My message is, no, there are distinct races, there are distinct genders. Like the world is filled with distinction, and we have to act accordingly. So in other words, if America becomes majority non-white, it will be fundamentally different, because non-white people are different than white people.
Which is inevitable, right? I see the late night talk show hosts like Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, they're almost celebrating the fact that whites are soon going to be the minority in America.
Right. Something
they're very happy about and excited about. Which, if you said that about another race, soon Jews will be the minority, blacks will be the minority, you wouldn't get an applause in the crowd.
Well, and what's funny about that is you'll see guys like Elon Musk talk about this. Because what I would say is that's anti-whiteism. In the same way you got Islamophobia or racism, that's anti-whiteism. And you'll see that guys like Tucker, Matt Walsh, Elon, they are anti-white. So they'll frequently talk about, oh, liberals hate white people. If the shoe were on the other foot, if people were saying this about black people, that would be wrong. And what they're pandering to is white grievance. White people have a grievance about how we're being treated, about mass migration. And you'll have these guys that are paying lip service to those grievances, but their answer to white grievance, their answer to anti-whiteism is liberalism. Like Tucker, Walsh, and Elon, they're not like, they don't say immigration moratorium, we need to reverse the demographic decline, we need to stick up for ourselves as white people. They say, please, black people, stop playing identity politics. Please, Jews, let's all play by the same rules. And I guess what I would say is, if you think anti-whiteism is a problem, you need to be pro-white. I guess maybe I sound like BLM. In other words, it's not enough to be anti-white. You need to be pro-white.
Right. I heard Logan Paul say the same thing, but for BLM.
Yeah.
Right, as a white guy.
But because it's recognizing that whites have distinct interests, and just like the other groups, we have a right in an open society, in a democracy, to advocate for those interests. Right. And I would say that, as far as that is concerned, people say, well, no, we can't emulate their identity politics. We have to reject it. To that, I say you first. You want to abandon identity politics? Well, who's been playing it for 60 years? Immigrants, black people, Jews, women.
I've only seen clips of this. I'm so glad that after I started the show today talking about white replacement, that they start this in the same way, because it is such a big issue. White people are being replaced, and nobody seems to give a shit, or at least very few people. I mean, Nick Fuentes is obviously one of the people who really, I mean, that's a crazy freeze frame, I just realized. But Nick Fuentes is one of the people who really seems to care. I care as well. Matt Walsh cares. Elon Musk seems to care. But white people are being replaced right now.
And gay people. Now everybody says, oh, whites are getting angry. Whites are becoming nativist. Oh, okay, let's all stop playing. I say you first, because we got here because everyone was playing it. White people are finally waking up, and now the Tuckers and the Walshes and the Elons want to come in and say, no, white identity isn't the answer. I say it's the answer until everybody's on the same page.
But I've seen Elon and Matt Walsh be very critical about Muslim immigration. They always talk about how there needs to be less of that in Europe, and they seem to try to relate it to America, even though Muslims make up, 2% of the American population. If they're liberals, then why are they so vocal about that sort of immigration?
Well, I would say that, first of all, these guys like Elon, they're pro-India, but they're anti-Muslim, which is funny. And same in the UK. Tommy Robinson is pro-India, anti-Muslim. Yeah, and if you're white, you're like, they're the same people, basically. Like Pakistan and India, when they declared independence, they were basically segregated by religion. There's not, India is a very diverse country, ethnically and racially. So why, in other words, why would you say, oh, Indians, come on in, Pakistanis, no. And I think what that has to do with, of course, is that it's politically expedient to be anti-Muslim. And I know a lot of Muslims, like when I say that, it's a fact that it is politically expedient to be anti-Muslim because, America has a strained relationship with some of those countries and because of our alliance with Israel. Israel has a gripe with Muslims. They want us to have a gripe so that, we identify with their struggle and we support them in their fight. I think it's that simple.
I think you're the only one in the right wing that sees the PSYOP, right? Because Netanyahu said publicly that he was going to invest money into the propaganda.
Yeah.
And it's always the playbook over the last 20 years has always been just call Muslims terrorists.
Yep.
Nonstop. After the Iraq War, after every war that we go to support Israel in the Middle East, they just blame radical Islamists. They did it with Iran as well. And everyone fell for it. Everyone's starting to say, oh, they're talking about Dearborn, which is a non-issue. It's like, 100,000 people in this. They're not really bothering anyone. The crime is pretty low. Everyone immediately started to...
No, I would say it's a problem.
To jump on that bandwagon, even though it doesn't really pose a threat. Even on Rumble, I used to stream on Rumble, you stream on Rumble. I saw ads pop up like the radical jihadists. It's like these AI ads for boomers right next to Black Rifle Coffee. They're talking only about Muslim immigration. So the reason that's happening, is that all distraction? Because Alex Jones seems very annoyed by Muslim immigration. He's very worried about that. Does that actually pose a threat?
Yeah, I think it does. I think this is, I think Nick kind of agrees, but I think me and Nick have a slightly different view on it. But yeah, I think the entire Middle East is a shithole, and no one from the Middle East, including Israel, including all the Muslim countries, none of them should be able to come here.
I don't think so, no. And I'll tell you why. It's funny you bring that up, because what you would say about Dearborn is that it's an enclave. It's an enclave where it's a smaller town, and it's mostly Muslim, and you'd have sort of like a monoculture there.
Right.
But there are enclaves everywhere, and there's Jewish enclaves.
All over New York, and I don't see anybody talking about that.
Never.
New York City, there's neighborhoods in Borough Park and Crown Heights that are literally, they look like Israel.
Yes.
Like, they all wear their hats, they have their own police, they have their own bus station, they have their own schools, they have their own language. They don't, even though they're in New York City, they don't communicate, and they're told that they only interact with each other. But there's nobody protesting that.
No, and it's everywhere, too. In New Jersey, no, I have never heard any mainstream person talk about this. There are, like, ultra-Orthodox colonies in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone document it, talk about it. I only know because I know people from New Jersey. And they say, oh, these Hasidic Jews are taking over this whole town. In Surfside, Florida, in Crown Heights, in New York, it's like you said, they have their own ambulances, their own police. It's like an enclave. And so you say, okay, Matt Walsh, so what's the difference between that enclave and Dearborn or Minneapolis or Springfield, Ohio? And I do think there's something cowardly about it because, let's be honest. Like the Haitians in Springfield, I know you're Haitian. You're also Muslim, so, Dearborn or whatever. But it's like, it is the most egregious example, let's say, because Haiti is not doing so hot.
Right.
So it's
Trump's
easy.
a shithole country, yeah.
And I get it, but to me, that's almost like punching down.
You could see Sneako's like a little like, oh, fuck.
There's something cowardly about it. I did a whole show about it. I'm like, Matt, why don't you talk about all the Jewish names in Hollywood and New York? He's going to name all the Muslim names in Dearborn. Okay, yeah, like, I see your point. Name all the Jewish names in Wall Street.
Well, I saw on Tucker Carlson, he said he doesn't care about Israel.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. He just doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't care. Isn't that the right defense? Isn't he enlightened to not care about and only put America first by not caring about Israel?
That's total cowardice. Because it's like you can't have it both ways. You can either, you got to oppose all of it, Or, you should just shut up in general. You know what I mean? Because it is cowardly to say, oh, I don't care about Jews running America, but Muslims running Dearborn? This is a red alert. This is a red flag crisis level.
Yeah.
I think it's very obvious what's going on there.
Same thing. I recently saw a major push, people talking about the Somali immigration. And you had a good talking points. Whenever Trump is losing support right now, he's more unpopular than ever. His approval rating is, how low is it right now?
It's I think it's like 41%.
And whenever he wants to get it up, he immediately says something racist, and he says something to create an us versus them mentality. Right now, it's the Somalis.
That's what I always say. Trump loves to throw something based out there every time that he gets it. Like, Trump really gives a shit about what the mainstream media thinks of him. He's a boomer. I mean, boomers are kind of retarded. I could give a fuck what the mainstream media has to say. I don't trust him at all. But Trump, as a boomer, cares what they have to say. Trump, as a boomer, cares about the approval ratings and all this bullshit. So every time Trump gets a, bad review with the mainstream media, a bad review with his poll numbers, whatever they are, all he does is he throws out like a kind of base comment to try and pander to people like me and get that number up.
It's who's that congresswoman that he doesn't like?
Ilhan Omar.
Ilhan Omar, right? He's going really hard at them. Is that a major issue going on? What's happening with the Somalians?
That's another thing where, I think the Somalians should be deported because it's so egregious. She goes up there in Congress and she's like, as long as I'm in Congress, you have a fighter for Somalia. And it's like,
yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's mirroring the Israeli rhetoric. Yeah. But here's what I will say about that. This is the classic Trump playbook. He gets unpopular with his base because he's terrible at governing. He's disorganized, not strategic. His team is full of fucking idiots and criminals. So inevitably, and I knew, this is why I didn't vote for him, I knew it was going to go in the toilet very quickly. Trump sees the approval rating collapse, he's unpopular, so then he goes and plays the greatest hits. Shithole country, fuck Muslims, you're garbage, fuck Somalia. And it's like, yeah, we didn't elect you to be mean to these people. We elected you to fucking deport people. Yep. But you can't do the deportations because that's hard. So instead, you're going to basically do the lowest common denominator. You're going to appeal to people's basest instincts and say, fuck the people we don't like. Right. And everybody goes, yeah! And it's like, okay, but, he did that last time. And, we want to make America great again. We don't want to just be mean to people and, talk shit. Yeah. We want the deportations.
Yeah, he acts like he's still campaigning. Even when he's in office, he has the same rhetoric as if he's trying to run for office. And I noticed, too, they're posting a lot of edits. The ICE, the White House posting videos of cool ICE deporting people. Why haven't they released the statistics? How many people are actually getting deported? What's going on there?
It's funny you say that because ICE is supposed to report every quarter how many people they deport. Mm-hmm. They're supposed to give weekly numbers and quarterly numbers. Do you know that ICE has not put out the number of deportations since Joe Biden was president?
And why is that?
Because they're low. Mm-hmm. So, and it's so funny because their press office, the White House press office, will put out numbers, but those aren't the official numbers. ICE has reporting requirements, they just don't do them. Because the government knows how many people it deports. They keep fucking track. That's a number they have. But it's so low, they won't publicize it because it's an embarrassment. It's probably like 300,000 for the year, which 10 million illegals came in 4 years under Biden. If you're deporting 300 to 400,000 per year, by the end of Trump's term, you've deported over 1 million people. It's nothing. So that's why they won't publish the numbers.
And you were I think the only person that was again, I was very vocal about Trump. I said no war in Iran. I didn't want that to happen. And then closer towards the election, I'm like, okay, it's probably, I like the optics of me wearing a MAGA hat and debating Rabbi Shmuley and saying America first, MAGA cannot happen by having dual allegiance to Israel. I like that. But you were the only one completely anti. And you faced a lot of heat for that. And I think that's why this year has been so successful for you. What makes, do you have anything to say to those people?
Yeah, well, it's funny because everybody says, why is Nick so popular? That's the big question. Why do people like him if he's a Nazi, if he's a piece of shit? And people say, oh, it's because, so-and-so had him on the show, or because the economy's bad, or
why did it freeze? Why the fuck does it do this? Okay, give me 1 second. Let's see if that fixed it.
Whatever. But if you go back to the beginning of the year, I blew up initially when Israel bombed Iran. Because you remember when we were in Spain in May, there was no generational run. It didn't happen yet. The generational run started in June when Israel bombed Iran.
And you were vindicated.
Yes, like that. Everyone watched my show because I called it. I said, we're going to war with Iran. And so when that happened, people said, dude, he's on the money. He's right about this. Then they watched the show and said, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. His analysis is totally on point. That is what really initiated the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And so I would just say to those people, it's like, you fucking fell for it again. You're on the hamster wheel. More than anything, my message is the people have to develop a political consciousness. I don't care if you're white, black, yellow, seriously, Christian, Muslim. People need to develop a political consciousness and take their own side. And they have to stop seeing themselves as Republicans and Democrats because you're not on the fucking team. Like, they get elected, they make the money, they get the privileges, and every year, both sides get fucked. Everybody gets fucked. And so my message to being a right-wing guy and a white guy, Christian, my message to my people was, fuck Republicans. Don't vote for them. They don't do anything for us. And people go, oh, well, you're an ideologue. And, like, that's true. But more than that, I'm in favor of, we need a political consciousness as the people.
So why do you think that you weren't allowed at the New York Young Republicans event that just happened? Because I saw people that came up to me on stream saying, I'm racist. And that's their thing. And people say, look, I have blackface. And they're showing me videos of them in blackface. What separates you? Is it the fact that you oppose the Republican Party so much? What's the real issue here? Because if it's racism, then they would be kicked out.
I think it's because I'm critical of Israel. Okay. You know, Jared Taylor was there. And I love Jared. I really do. I respect him deeply. And we have disagreements, but he's an admirable guy. But let's be honest. The reason that Steve Saylor and Jared Taylor, ironically, are becoming more mainstream in some ways or getting more acceptance is because they only talk about black-white race relations. They never talk about Jewish capture of institutions. And we know that that seems to be the thing you're not allowed to talk about. So I think that's it.
Yeah, and Piers Morgan, this was huge.
Yeah.
There has been a lot of, that one had a lot more criticism, I think. Or no, after Tucker Carlson, they wrote Chuck Schumer passed something. He wanted to pass a bill in Congress that forces people to disavow you. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was like a resolution condemning me.
Is that even legal? Or
no, it's like non-binding. It means nothing.
Okay, and then do you think the backlash was worse after Piers or after Tucker Carlson?
Definitely after Tucker, because Tucker's like whole. But what's funny is like Tucker brought me on, and you know I have a lot to say about that in retrospect. But it's funny that Tucker had me on and everyone said, oh, that's a softball interview. And everybody said, why didn't you press him? Why didn't you ask him the tough questions? Why didn't you play his clips and ask him about things that he said? In other words, they thought like I got away with murder. Like I was able to push my views unopposed and he gave me a platform and he's working with me. So Piers Morgan said, oh, all right. Well, I'll ask him the tough questions. I'll give him a proper interview and I'll drill down on all of it. And nobody could say that he got cheated because he was so disingenuous, so unfair. He was as malicious as possible. And it was probably better for me than Tucker. I think more people liked the Piers interview than the Tucker thing.
I agree. It's because people are so sick of the lack of doubling down. They're sick of the apologizing. Legacy Media, Piers was expecting you to come on. Same thing when I went on with Ye, was like expecting like, I'm sorry about this song. I'm sorry about this. I meant it by that. You went on and just did that face. Just this evil face, just horrified, looking like the pigeon lady in Home Alone. Yeah. And people love that. People are just sick of the alternative and what media forces you to do.
Well, and with Piers, it's interesting because I watched a lot of his interviews, his like hit pieces, and I got a little nervous, but I took away from it strategically that the power that Piers has is shame. He's sitting there like the judge or like the cop, the interrogator.
The moral leader.
Yes. And uses a moral language like, aren't you ashamed? Aren't you guilty? Isn't that racist? And there's a psychological thing where you're sort of sitting there in the hot seat having to justify yourself and say, well, I'm a good person. Well, I'm a good guy. And I said, you know what? You're a tabloid journalist. You're a fucking sensationalist, tabloid celebrity. Fuck you. Like, you're not a judge. You're not a lawyer. You're not smart. Like, who the fuck are you? You bring Rabbi Shmuley on and Dan Bilzerian to and I like Dan a lot, but it's like it's polemical. He brings these people on to like scream at each other like it's Sports Center. You know, like it's who's the black
Stephen A.
Yeah. You bring people on to go rah, 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 and you're gonna sit there in judgment. So the way that I flipped the script is I said I'm gonna have contempt. I'm going to be in contempt of court. You're going to sit there and say, how dare you? And I'm going to shit on the floor and piss on your face and say, I don't take this seriously. This is a joke. The Holocaust? Pfft, that's funny. So that was the scrap. That's how I played it.
Yeah, what I really like is this happened to me so much in the past 3 years when I was banned. I'm still AI banned on TikTok like you, face ban. Still have to get Twitch back, yada yada. But during the YouTube ban, especially, when they would call up and they do these Piers Morgan type interviews, is they'd be like, "Oh, you deny the Holocaust? You deny the?" And then they just want you to say exactly this. And you said it perfectly. I was born in 1998. Why am I supposed to have emotional feelings towards something that didn't happen to my people over almost 100 years ago?
Right.
You know?
Well, yeah, it's just logic. You have to cut through. All of that is like sentimentalist programming because it just doesn't make any sense logically why you would feel shame over that. It's a social proof.
We didn't do it. I wasn't there.
And it's history.
It happened.
World War II, 85 million people died in World War II and were hung up on the 6 million. And there were other people in the camps also. Yeah. I mean, Hitler put all his enemies in the camps, in concentration camp, concentrating them in one area. He hated Slavs, he hated Poles. and some Catholic priests and gypsies, but we only even ever talk about the 6 million, and people are going to feel shit. Oh, I don't deny that. It's so funny. I remember when I first started like denying it or whatever, you would have like stupid bitches say, he's a Holocaust denier. It's like, tell me even one thing about World War II. Like, you don't know fucking anything about anything, and you're like, this is a dogmatic view that 6 million died. It doesn't make any sense.
The most annoying part was when he tried to shame you because you said, oh, have you been with a woman? You're like, no, I'm waiting till marriage. And Piers Morgan's also a white Catholic. So he knows that you're supposed to wait until marriage. Like, if you're going to follow moral consistency as the moral judge, then you waiting to be with a woman who's your wife, that's what you're supposed to do. You're one of the only people that I've seen follow that publicly and not be ashamed of you. Like, yeah, I'm waiting. And he's still like doing this like, oh, you're a virgin, the shaming thing, which is not even morally consistent with his own belief system.
Well, and that's probably my biggest weakness, because they're right. Like, I am a freak. Like, I am an eccentric freak, and I'm not a normie. But it goes to show that at the end of the day, that is all they have. Like, he brings me on to say, well, we're going to properly examine your beliefs. I'm going to put you in the hot seat, and I'm going to show that you either are a hater, or you're a simpleton, or you're a bigot, or whatever. And when all of that doesn't work, you played the Holocaust card, the racism card, this, that, the other. At the end of the day, all you have is to attack me as a guy. And what does that say about liberalism? You cannot defend liberalism intellectually. You cannot defend it in the battle of ideas. You have to attack the purveyors of the alternative and their life.
The argument is just, oh, you're weird.
Yes.
That's weird. Like a 20-year-old and a 25-year-old, that's weird. That's not a moral argument. That's not even logical. You're just declaring that, and most people believe it for whatever reason. You call yourself a freak. I've got to hang out with you quite a bit. Thanksgiving, we just had dinner, and I've known you for years. What makes you a freak? That you don't want to go ice skating with some chick who's gonna, ask you to pay for everything and nag you? Why do you think you're a freak?
Well, I think that I'm just not like, I'm not a very social person, and so
you say that, I don't see it. Even really? Just now, yeah, we have it. It's going to be in the vlog that we post. People are coming up to you. These girls are taking photos. Nick's taking a photo with the girl. She's like, I didn't like that one, and she's like she's all excited. I don't see you as antisocial as you let on now.
Well, I think I'm good. I'm good at like interactions and stuff, but I am a bit of a loner, and I'm a monomaniacal person. Like, I am obsessed with politics, and I think people don't get that. People always want to get to the mystery of like, who is the person? Like, what does your day look like? What do you do for fun? People ask me questions like that, and I feel like SpongeBob when he says fine dining and breathing. It's like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not. So I guess that's why I say I'm not like a chill, normal dude that is going to go and get a beer with you and oh yeah, I smoke a little bit sometimes, and I'm like a normal guy. I'm preoccupied with this.
See, I don't like the word freak. It's also just that you don't cape to your vices. And that's partly why Chuck Schumer is saying that you have to be condemned, because you can't get honeypotted. You're not going to get got with drugs. You're not going to get got with women. They're not going to tempt you with some sort of deal. You can't be bought or sold, and you can't get got. That doesn't make you a freak. That just means that you have specific morals that you're not going to bend to. I think it's freaky to so many other people because they get into this for other reasons.
That's true. Well, and so many people have met their end because of stuff like that. That's always what gets people fucked up, is especially because of what I do. It is there's so much pressure around this that if you have problems with like alcohol or drugs or whatever it is, then that really exacerbates every other underlying problem. So it's like, for example, let's say I had a family, let's say I have a wife. If somebody comes to my house with a gun, that could like ruin my marriage.
They have leverage.
Yeah. And if I'm a drinker, let's say I'm having trouble with my family, they're fucking with my family, I'm depressed, okay, now I'm turning to alcohol and drugs to cope.
Jordan Peterson.
Boom, exactly. So people underestimate it takes a certain type of person to raise a flag against the system, and you kind of have to be monomaniacal.
I think a lot of people see the writing on the wall, and this is the playbook of many world leaders. I know
this is what I meant earlier when I said Sneako is so much fucking better at interviewing people than any, like, this interview with Nick right now is better than almost any of the other interviews recently. It's just the questions themselves and the kinds of answers he tries to draw out of Nick.
I said at Fuentes rally too, I think this guy's going to become president. They have that in my Wikipedia. But your obsession and just your dedication to the cause, that's the natural path of a future world leader. Do you disagree?
Yeah, I mean, I would say more than a world leader, a revolutionary. Okay, I think that if you're a revolutionary, you have to be that way. It's because, to be a world leader, all you got to do is be groomed and be obedient to the interests or whatever. But to be a revolutionary, yeah, you kind of need to be possessed in a sense. And by I don't mean that in I'm not gesturing towards anything supernatural, but I mean, you need to become a vessel. You need to almost become more, like, you almost lose your humanity in a sense, because you become kind of like the living embodiment of your ideas, of your vision. And I think that's what it takes.
What about Candace Owens? This is always popping up on my timeline. You had a collab that did not go well.
Yeah.
I don't think so. You guys were. It was a little bit hostile, uncomfortable, and since then it's been. She signaled some good things, like saying that she likes that Nick is resisting the Zionist influence, but now it seems like it's heating up a lot, especially with Charlie Kirk, and I see the disagreements with Ian. What's going on? Are you guys ever going to find some common ground? What's happening there?
Oh, Candace, she's really something. I don't know what is going to happen with her. We're like fire and ice. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, I think she's actually in love with me.
Come on.
No, but I really do. I think she. Look, no one could deny we got chemistry. No one can deny.
She's happily married.
She's
happily married.
The heart wants what the heart wants.
Crazy.
No, but
the That's So Raven stuff was so funny. It's like
she had a vision.
Yeah, that was.
I just had a vision. Chels, Eddie, I just had a vision.
Chels,
like Charlie. Did you watch That's So Raven back in the
I did. It would zoom into the eye, and she had. Yeah, it's funny because she's also black. Like that's what makes it better. It's the black woman dream thing.
Yeah.
But
so good.
I see that they're really annoyed. It seems like there's this feud about what happened to Charlie Kirk, which seems like the second biggest catalyst in your year. Unfortunately, rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. I disagreed with him heavily. I did the day before you said, and you guys went to war with each other ideologically. Him passing away, it seemed like that was the second major event, especially after the Trump nuking Iran or bombing Iran. What has transpired since then? What's the deal with Erica Kirk? I saw she was recently saying Charlie Kirk spoke Hebrew, and she's saying Shabbat Shalom. She had the Israeli star here. What's happening with this situation?
Well, so Monday is really when it blows up because Turning Point is going to address all the conspiracies in a live stream this coming Monday, so in 2 days. And I guess Candace is going to react to it. And honestly, I'm not taking a side in it, and here's why. One, I have taken a side on what transpired. I think Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. And people say that's Fed slop, that's the FBI's narrative, blah, blah, blah. I think that the radical left is real. Like, left-wing people are out there killing people. And not only do I not think it's far-fetched, I think it's likely that some hick-lib, tranny lover, autist got a gun and fucking shot him because Charlie Kirk is in the culture war against LGBTQ and the anarchists and whatever. I think that's totally likely, actually. I haven't actually even seen a credible alternative theory. You have all these like little things they say about, there's an Egyptian plane and these people in maroon. It's like, but what's the theory? Who's the suspect? Where's the other murder weapon? Like, they haven't produced anything like that. So I do think that Tyler Robinson killed him. As far as Erica and Candace are concerned, I can't take a side in that because I have issues with both of them. I think that Turning Point did kind of opportunistically take advantage of Charlie's murder. I think that's obvious. Their big like memorial.
Fireworks everywhere. She's wearing leather pants, and the way she's hugging JD Vance is a little. It's a bit much,
Yeah, and she's look. Everybody grieves differently. Totally valid.
Okay.
And honest to God, I pray for her and for her family. You can't even imagine. She's got 2 kids now without a father.
It's tragedy.
It's horrible, and I really feel for her. That being said, she is clearly acting. When she goes on these shows, it's so canned. And we just have to be honest. She's doing she's in the interview with Barry Weiss, and Barry goes, "What do you have to say to Candace Owens?" And she goes, Stop. That's it. she goes, "That's it. That's all I have to say." It's like, come the fuck on. And the handkerchief.
Yeah, I know. And she's always like, at this strategic
Maron.
amount of tears.
Maron.
Maron.
I mean, the handkerchief. Come on now. And it's like Ben Shapiro's hat. It's getting bigger. She's going to have like a fucking, beach towel next to it. But we shouldn't joke about that. I do feel for her. But Turning Point is doing a very bad job. Because look, I think I have my criticisms at Turning Point, but they have a right to defend themselves because they're being accused of like murdering her fucking husband. That's a very serious accusation. Candace is saying that she murdered her fucking husband and the father of her kids. That's a very serious charge that if real, if you're not sincere, it's like an evil lie.
Yeah.
And I think that Turning Point, they should be sticking up for themselves. They're just not doing a good job of it. It's very bad PR. It's too calculated. It's inconsistent. It's all over the place. That being said, I think Candace is extremely dishonest also. I think she plays fast and loose with her theories. I don't think she has a lot of intellectual integrity. And I think she's sort of a narcissist. I think that at this point, it's hard not to say that this has become a grift. Every week, she goes on Instagram. This changes everything. Tune in tomorrow. Oh, this.
Yeah, how many times does Candace put on her story, guys, we're going to blow the whole thing open tomorrow?
Just change the whole conversation. Watch my show next week.
I like Candace, but it's like she shouldn't have posted text messages showing that Charlie was listening to Nicki Minaj. Mm-hmm. That was like a little bit. If I die, please don't show that. I like Monster. I like that verse that she had on Twisted Fantasy, but don't. Yeah. Him like fangirling over Nicki Minaj.
He goes,
like,
yes.
Yeah,
yes, bitch.
I don't want to know that.
Monster.
I don't want to know that, man. Like maybe keep that. But hopefully
yes.
she gets some, is able to figure this stuff out. Do you think that Erica's trying to reposition Charlie's Israeli position? Because it seems like towards his death, Charlie was critical. He went on the Patrick Bet-David show and he questioned what happened on October 7th very publicly. And he was there with Megyn Kelly, I think one of his last podcasts, saying that he was getting bullied and that you have to have complete allegiance to the Israeli lobby. It seems like Erica's trying to reposition and change the narrative to make it seem like he was fully supportive of Israel. And also they met in Israel. Didn't they? They met at a pilgrimage. I didn't know Christians go on a pilgrimage to Israel, but apparently they do. They didn't meet in America and in a cornfield or underneath the bleachers at a football game. They met in Israel.
Well, and you know what else is weird about her? She's like 6 years older than him. Isn't that weird?
I don't often see marriages like that.
She's 37, he's 31. And, you know, if you're Charlie Kirk, you're rich, you're famous, going to be extremely powerful. They get set up, and she's 6 years older. Like, so I said that from the start, that it seemed that their marriage was perhaps arranged. And I don't know what her deal is, but the guy that seems to have gotten powerful at Turning Point is Andrew Colvett. And Andrew Colvett, he's kind of holding down the fort on the Charlie Kirk show. He comes from Salem Media. Salem Media is like a big Zionist outfit. Marissa Straight works there. She runs PragerU. She's that Unit 8200 officer who's at PragerU. And Salem also got that contract with the Israel lobby. They registered under FARA, $6 million contract to lobby with Israel with Brad Parscale.
$6 million contract?
Literally, yeah, $6-7 million, something like that. It's in that ballpark. Very good. But yeah, so they seem to be steering Turning Point hard back into the... And Colvett was on Ross Douthat on the New York Times podcast saying, you know, it's okay to criticize the foreign aid, but you must verify that Israel has a right to exist, kind of echoing their line from SAS in July. I will say, I think it's overblown, the extent to which Charlie was turning on Israel. I think that's basically fake.
You don't think he was turning on Israel?
No.
Okay.
I think that it's, and I've explained it a lot of times on my show, but I think that what happened with Charlie is that first of all, we have to understand, he was everything to everybody. Turning Point made $140 million because he was a brown noser. He was a grifter. He was very good at milking donors for money. And he, like Trump, is a contradiction. Like, to the far right, he was becoming anti-Semitic. To the Israel lobby, he was one of their only remaining allies. And so I think that you have to consider that Charlie, being a youth leader, he had to go on the campus and defend Israel to all these college kids that are becoming groypers. And I think that wore on him. And I think he got frustrated. I think he was going to the Israeli donors and saying, well, I'm getting killed out here. You know, not just, I'm not being glib when I say that. But like, he's going saying, I'm getting grilled for being pro-Israel. It's hurting my reputation. I have to defend this shit. And he said in his letter to Netanyahu, he goes, I think I'm defending Israel more than you're defending yourself. And so I think he was really put between a rock and a hard place because the Israelis were completely intolerant of guys like Tucker and stuff like that. And Charlie needed to keep those people happy, needed to keep the college kids on the plantation. So I think he was just kind of being tugged in two different directions and being ripped apart. I don't think he was like an ideologue who had an epiphany and like realized Israel's a problem and anything like that. I think that's overblown.
And you were right about JD Vance. I remember the last stream, maybe the last desktop stream we did, we were in my Miami apartment, and it was the day before you got unbanned on Twitter. And I remember you said, Elon, give me my fucking Twitter back. And you got it back. And one of the major thing you said, I had told you that I think Ben Carson was going to get the VP nomination. You're like, no, it's JD Vance. And remember, I'm not going to say who, somebody told me that tip. He's like, oh, put all your money on this. I don't gamble, but I think he lost a lot of money. And you were right, JD Vance got the nomination. It seems like they are trying to position him to maybe take some of Charlie Kirk's empty spot, but also as the next leader of America. What's the truth about this guy? You're the only person to really expose the fact that he was in the Senate for only 2 years and then he got VP. He was a never Trumper. I remember that. He was very vocally anti-Trump, and now he's the biggest glazer for Trump. What's the truth about this? He has some weird connections going on. JD Vance is a fake name. He was part of that Yale group. He's getting funded by Peter Thiel, who has CIA connections. Peter Thiel is gay, right?
Yep.
And he's bankrolling AI right now, funding the end of the world. He's giving JD Vance $15 million. What's going on here?
Well, I mean, that's such a big can of worms with Vance, but I would say that in particular after Turning Point, here's what I found really fascinating. So you remember, I forget what event it was at. They went to the White House for Erica to receive the Medal of Freedom on Charlie's behalf from Trump and Vance. And I don't know if it was there or if it was at a different event. I think Vance did a Turning Point event and Erica was there. And remember, Erica gave him that really affectionate hug where she like held the back of his head and everyone said it was super weird. And she said on the stage, she said, no one can fill my husband's shoes except for Vance, basically. And people said, well, that's obvious what that was. Also, Vance really leapt in front of Charlie's death.
I would haunt my widowed wife from beyond the grave if I was Charlie.
Yeah, like he carried Charlie's casket, had him buried with honors or whatever. He had the military fly the casket. He went on Charlie Kirk's show the week after the assassination. So that was kind of like one flavor. Then Tucker interviewed me at the end of October. Now, Tucker's son, Buckley, works in Vance's press office. So when Tucker interviewed me, the Israel lobby put the screws in Vance. They said, what is your connection to Tucker? Are you going to fire his son? You need to disavow. You need to show that you stand with Israel against the Groypers. So then, last week, Erica was being interviewed, and they said, do you think J.D. Vance should be the next president? And suddenly, completely frosty tone, Erica says, well, let's just appreciate that Trump is president, and, my husband fought to get Trump in office. She wouldn't answer. So you go from she's hugging his head, he's the only one that can replace, if I grabbed his ass, that would have been less controversial. But then after the Israel lobby turns on Vance, now she goes, I don't know if he should be the next president. That is weird as fuck. And I tweeted the video, it's on my Twitter timeline. It's so, whatever that is, it's weird, and something's up there.
What do you think is the truth about Erica Kirk?
I think that she is an extremely ambitious person, and like I said, I think it was an arranged marriage. I think she is somebody who wanted to marry political royalty. He needed a wife. They were set up.
By who? Who arranged it? They met in Israel.
Who knows? The powers that be, the fixers, their handlers, whoever. Because when you're a Charlie Kirk, when you're an Erica, you swim in that school of fish, with connected people. You don't even know who's beside you sometimes. And so they were put together. They say that Erica applied to work for Turning Point, and that's how they met. That's a crock of shit. So I think that now that Charlie's dead, they're trying to groom her to be some kind of political figure. And they're creating... The reason I think that is because they are choreographing these breakout moments. I forgive the killer. That was a choreographed moment. That's like an Obama-esque West Wing, House of Cards, as cynical as it gets. Here's your white dress. Here's your husband's memorial. You're going to forgive the killer, and everyone is going to say, "Oh, Erica's amazing," whatever. So like they're like grooming her for something. I think
that is, even though I could see your argument there, that is what you're supposed to say as a Christian. You're supposed to forgive your enemies. So there's some respect there. No,
because she doesn't. I don't think she does. I don't think anyone could. I mean, let's say your husband got murdered in cold blood, and a week later you go, I'm over it, I forgive him. Like, as Christians, you don't just freely forgive everybody. Sometimes it takes time, and the person needs to be repentant, and even then you don't exonerate that person. So, I thought it was ridiculous because here's how I feel about it. Either she meant it, in which case it's kind of fucked up. It's like if my wife... Imagine if you got murdered and your wife came out a week later and was like, I forgive his killer. You'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, you're not angry still? You're not like upset? And if she's lying, then that's like really evil to say you forgive him when you really don't, because it's like you're just,
I appreciated some of that because, and I see what you're saying, because it felt really tense at the time. I remember you were supposed to come to New York or something, and I was, after a while, I said, I'm going to abandon the Woman podcast. I'm not going to, maybe I'll leave New York. I thought the political violence would triple. It seems like it really died down quickly. I think we were all political commentators, especially those public and especially those considered on the same atmosphere as Charlie, were nervous. But stuff like that, I think, did warm. I think it did cool down some of the heat.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I mean, that was kind of an important thing to do at that time. But, and by that I mean to, get everybody to get level-headed. But I think at that point it was sort of past the point, like a week and a half later.
And even then, I can understand why someone like you, the amount of heat that you have to face, and even then, I don't know if you want me to talk about it so much, but I saw you have to pay $635 for this phone. It's just like the stuff that you have to deal with, and the amount of. Do you ever wonder, like, when can I get out of this? Where is the light at the end of the tunnel? Although you've had a phenomenal year, and I think everyone in the chat we can say congratulations. It's really cool to see the progression. How are you able to deal with all this stuff? Like some lady comes to your house and then you have to, pay for the phone, and you're facing, you do a good show and immediately they try to tear it down. How are you, personally, how are you dealing with all this stuff?
Well, I love to fight. All real Americans love to fight, so I live for it. I live for the constant war, for the constant battle. So I'm fine with it, and that's kind of just what you're in for. If I wanted to be beloved, if I wanted to be to have kind of an easygoing life, I just would have worked for Daily Wire 10 years ago.
You would have taken the deal.
But I was born for the fucking struggle. I was born for the war, so I'm in it. I'm locked in for the Groyper War, and I'll rest when I'm old. If I can live to an old age, that's when I'm gonna.
You're just a white ass nigga going hard as fuck.
I'm a white ass nigga going hard.
Oh, white ass.
Yeah. My nigga, man. Let's go.
White halves.
I mean, so you're not gonna take the gambling deal? Have you been offered any crazy deals? I'm sure since this blow up, you've been proposed with some some crazy numbers to change your rhetoric or to push an agenda?
I've been offered millions of dollars this year for different sponsorships. I mean, I got a gambling offer, I got a gold offer, which I might do, by the way.
The gold one, yeah.
Because gold is, but I haven't taken it. I'm going to ask my audience if they're okay with it. But I got offered that. I kind of turned it down. And then I got offered at like $250,000 to debate Candace Owens. Somebody hit me up. They said, would you debate Candace Owens? We're going to pay you $500,000 or $250,000. We'll pay her $250,000. I said, don't give that bitch any more money. I said, no, I don't. I don't take the money because I don't want her to get the money. So I turned.
She has all these legal. If she needs Macron sooner, man.
Yeah.
She might need it.
You know, fucking $1 billion to him.
And you said no to that.
Yep.
But you should be doing well. The super chats are going up. But I watch your show very frequently. I can see it's starting to become aggravating. You know, the people. I noticed the difference. I've been around for a long time, and the TTS used to be the same couple people. You recognize the names. And now it's these people in Ohio and Wyoming that are like, 271,000?
Yeah.
What about the guest? It's just like, I can see how that. Do you ever want to just escape?
Yeah, I want to just stop dealing with human beings. I want to go underground or like to the North Pole or something. Because, I mean, the problem is a movement gets so big. I was just talking to my buddies about this. Probably 70% of Groypers came around this year.
Yeah.
And you think about it, it's like I've been doing this for 10 years, and now the number of people that discovered me this year outnumber the people that have been around like 10 to 1. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's just kind of hard because I've been in it, struggling, fighting, refining, and then you get these people, like you said, they're like, oh, the Holocaust is fake, well, whatever goofy shit. And you're like, yeah, that's hilarious. I remember when I had my first beer, I remember when I did that for the first time. So it's a little irritating now.
Yeah, so I saw you talk about, not to get too personal, but you said you were going to take a vacation soon. It's been a crazy year. You're always traveling. You're doing these collabs. Are you able to take your foot off the gas? So, like, what is that responsibility like now? You're leading a new movement, the new American right. Even your lack of presence at this event, this Republican event, it's very obvious. Everyone's thinking about it, right? It's especially after Charlie Kirk. Everyone knows that you now carry the baton for the future of the American right. And it used to be they would ignore you and they wouldn't say your name. They would kind of hint at it or say undercover codes. Now they're just saying it, and they're trying to cope with the fact that you are clearly going to lead the American young right. What is that responsibility like now? You're 27.
It's tough. I mean, the biggest thing is it's a lot of endurance. Because like I said, I've been fighting for 10 years. And by that, I mean, there's no weeks off. I've never taken more than a week off for 10 years since I started this. And it's like, when January 6th happened, I said, I literally can never miss a show for more than a week because if I do, people stop going to my website. If I'm not on YouTube and Twitter, if I am not visible, people forget about me and stop showing up.
You're virtually dead.
Right. So, having to constantly keep up the momentum, constantly like being visible, being present, it's exhausting. It's a lot of travel, a lot of content, and having to deal with the hate and the different ops that are being ran against me. It's a lot. It can be overwhelming at times, and that's when that's why I have a lot of indulgences, the fast food.
Compared to most people, because you say like, oh, I'm going to take a vacation. Most people like maybe go to Cancun or resort, get a girl and the drink and just get, I can't imagine you spend more than 3 days relaxing. What do you do? You go to a hotel and you're like, I like a bathtub in a hotel.
Literally.
What do you like? I can't even imagine what you would do.
Literally. I literally go in like a hot tub, and that's it. I go in the hot tub, I watch movies, I play Call of War, my favorite. People were saying, he's a fed. It's Call of Duty, not Call of War. No, Call of War is its own game. It's a grand strategy game. Usually I just love staying in a hotel, and I just chill in a hotel for like a week.
Even Thanksgiving, we're flying to LA, it's nonstop. But it seems like you I think you'll be able to. I got to talk to you at dinner about that. It seems like you're handling it, and it doesn't seem like it's weighing on you too much, because like the amount of heat, I'm sure people in the chat have seen it. It's like, how is one guy, especially when Piers Morgan starts talking about families, just that there's got to be some sort of. It seems like there's a lack of humanity with you. Not with you, but with the way people treat you. Like talking about like, what do they say on that news that you should do like your daddy and kill yourself?
Yeah,
like Hitler?
follow your leader.
What?
Kill
like
yourself.
Literally on national news saying kill yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's so fucked up. They'll try and like condemn Nick for every fucking thing he says, but someone on national news said that about Nick on a massive platform, and nobody in the media was up in arms about it. It's fucking insane.
You have to be calm maxing. You have to be smirking at all times. It's like Trump. They said to Trump, how do you deal with the pressure? And he goes, it doesn't matter. Yeah. He said, an earthquake happens in India, 400,000 die. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters, he basically said. And it's, you do have to kind of let go, and you kind of just have to, be smug like Pepe. You just have to be like, whatever.
Yeah. I have to give respect to Trump for that. I'm surprised he did it. I'm sure you saw the clip. He was leaving a helicopter and he was asked about you, and he said, Tucker can talk to whoever. And it's like, you've been attacking this guy. You're just like, you're fat, you're old, you're washed, fuck you. And he's like, it's okay. And I realized then that Trump really does approach this as if it's theater, which it is. The same thing, it was so similar to when Trump met Mamdani. And Mamdani's campaign, Mamdani said, I'm going to be the biggest headache for Trump. I'm going to, ruin his legacy. And then they're there smiling and hugging and being best friends in the Oval Office. Is that the right approach to see that when when people are campaigning, they're not really themselves? It is a performance. Some people call it grifting, but that's what politics is. It's theater. Is that true?
It's a game. Everything is. People have to realize this is something that's kind of like, it may seem obvious or banal to say, but it does need to be said. You and I right now are in front of a camera. There is a camera in our faces. As Piers Morgan said, we are staring down the barrel of a camera, and that is how people are seeing us. We are both cognizant of the fact that we are in front of a camera on the internet, and you cannot not be cognizant of that. You cannot not be self-conscious of that. And the very fact that the camera is here makes us act differently, speak differently. We all know why. We have to be calculated. We have to be cognizant of privacy, security, the relationships we're trying to maintain, But people don't think of that. People forget the camera is there, and they think that they're looking through a portal at two people having a private, normal interaction, but they're not. They're looking at people on camera that to one degree or another, are performing. And so people do well to keep in mind that you're not looking through a portal. You're watching something that was made for public consumption, whether that's a campaign, media, politics. And again, that might sound asinine, but it's really important to understand, like, how media works, why things are the way they are.
Yeah.
And Trump understands that almost better than most politicians. His ability to separate that. Did that surprise you? Do you think that you'd ever be able to? Because he was very happy to see you at that Thanksgiving dinner 3 years ago, right? He said he was impressed. Do you think that you'd be able to squash it the same way Mamdani did?
Maybe. I don't know that anyone would let me near Trump.
Probably not, no.
His handlers would prevent that, but, never say never. Who knows? But I would certainly... Look, I have always maintained great respect for him as a guy, but... Look, it's been a total train wreck and a disaster. I don't even know what the value would be in something like that at this point. But yeah, I think it would be similar to the Mamdani meeting, for sure.
How does the Epstein situation get resolved? There's more pictures coming out, more reporters are asking about it. This is probably the biggest stain on his legacy because, the war in Iran, that's a little more, you have to be geopolitically aware to understand that. This one is a stain on his reputation. Does that ever does the situation find an end?
No, I don't think there'll be any finality to it, anything climactic. I think that it's like everything else. People are just going to move on and not really care. Like, Trump was the father of the vaccine. And so you think all those people would come out and say, we're not voting for Trump. He made the pandemic. People don't give a shit. So it is a setback. It's a temporary humiliation. But like everything else, it will blend into the
People are going to forget about this. And it's crazy if you said this maybe 10 years ago that there'd be an island like a pedophile island that all world leaders were connected to that have pictures with the front runner and that everyone will forget about it. We'd laugh. So many of these Black Mirror episodes have ended up becoming true. And I think that's what's going to happen as you continue your rise and the space you have now in the political sphere. People are coming so disillusioned with the current regime, with the power structures. The lack of trust is stronger than it's ever been. That's why somebody like Mamdani wins. It's somebody that they feel they can relate to, somebody that's addressing their problems. How should people, or how should you approach this?
Approach what?
This lack of trust with power. With power.
It's really scary because society's starting to destabilize because of this. I mean, I was talking on my show about how, I really come from a background of like political theory, kind of like thinking a little bit about political theory at least. And what you understand about the order in society, the societal order, is that it all rests on the authority of the state. And the authority of the state rests on two things: force. They have the guns. Why don't you break the law? But that's a representation of the political order, is that there is a government that passes laws, there are cops that enforce the laws. If we break the laws, the cops take us to jail. So we all recognize, why do people obey the laws? Because the cops have guns. If you don't obey the laws, they'll kill you. But also, you recognize that there's only 1 million soldiers, there's maybe 1 million cops, there's 300 million people. So they don't have more force than all the people put together. So the other thing that gives the government authority is legitimacy. People think that the government has a right to rule. And that is what is being eroded. The legitimacy of the government. That people believe that we even have a nation, that the government is fair, that the government is efficacious, that the Constitution, the social contract, is valid or has integrity, that the elections are legitimate. Like, that's why they took that so seriously when Trump undermined the elections, because if you say the elections are fake, then you say the government has no legitimacy, then you're saying revolution is a mandate, actually. So when the legitimacy of the state is being undermined, they have to rely more on force. the less legitimate the government, the more tyrannical it has to be. And so that's when you see society start to come apart. It's the political violence with the left. It is the tribalism which is breaking out. It's the conspiracy theorizing. It's even in the way that Trump is trying to change the census 5 years in, gerrymandering the congressional districts. Normally that happens every 10 years. Now it's happening midway through because they're just trying to squeeze out every last seat they can get. It's like, this is serious late-stage Republic shit. The way they're trying to get money out of everything. The way that they're just motherfucking the laws, abusing them to get as much power as possible. Everyone knows the system's rigged. The way they're trying to buy everybody off with welfare. It's like, this is serious late Republic vibes. And it's all coming apart. And I think then the answer is Napoleon, Caesar. This is the...
Rome.
Send the army.
Rome. It's all on Rome. Exactly.
All roads lead to Rome.
Yeah, I'll leave it there. I said I don't want to hold Nick too long. It's been a long day. We gonna hang out a little bit. It's New York City. It's a Saturday night. It is snowing outside. I hope you have a coat. I hope you guys enjoyed this first stream back. Thanks, Nick,
man.
so much for coming
Great
on here.
stream.
Great stream. First stream back on YouTube in 3 years, and of course, probably had to be with Nick Fuentes. And hopefully, a love speech blessing arrives upon you, and a Goiper blessing arrives upon me.
Yes.
Inshallah.
Goiper blessing.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Be safe. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.
Let's go. What a video. That was a good collaboration. Awesome collaboration. The first time I saw that, I saw a couple clips, but that's about it. That was from last weekend. I enjoyed it. I think Sneako is really one of the people who are able to ask intelligent questions and get intelligent answers out of people. Really good at drawing the answers out of people. And the way they converse, it's really good for the people to see. And Nick makes a lot of really great points as well. So I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. We're going to read our comments. I want to remind everyone to like, smash the follow button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. Join our Telegram channel, rate the show 5 stars on Spotify. But with that, let me get our comments pulled up here. Let's go into our first comment. All right, let's just start with YouTube. Why not? We only have a couple of those, so we might as well just knock them out quick. First one I'll just read because it was short. He says, Mark Levin said that years ago. No, he tweeted it out pretty recently. Also, Josh Hammer did too, and Rabbi Shmuley made a video about that yesterday.
Let's say there's...
Here's the, and then he posted a video for us to watch here. We'll watch it really quick. Charlie Kirk video. He goes, and Charlie will be missed.
A black kid right now. Would you rather have that black kid have a role model be Kendrick Lamar or Clarence Thomas?
Kendrick, obviously.
This woman was dumb.
So not the black American on the United States Supreme Court.
No, he's trying to ban interracial marriage. He's trying to do all.
Wow, no, he's in an interracial marriage.
He literally
He's married to a white woman.
Yeah, I know the Roe v. Wade thing goes against.
He's trying to ban his own marriage.
Yes.
I thought I've heard
I'm sorry
everything.
to break it to you, but the Roe
Wait,
v.
hold on.
Wade.
So just to be clear, that's fine. This is the difference in worldview. We have clarity but not agreement. You'd rather have Kendrick Lamar, who sleeps around with everything that moves.
Who is a poet who won a Nobel Prize,
versus Clarence Thomas, who grew up in the antebellum South, who's a U.S. Supreme Court justice, one of the smartest people ever to serve on the Supreme Court as a black American. And that's the difference, is that we as conservatives think that Clarence Thomas is a far better role model for black America than just some rapper.
All right. That was the video. Ugh. People have been attaching a lot of videos recently. I don't mind it, but just something I'm noticing. But all right, let's go on to Spotify. That was all the YouTube comments we have.
Guns N' Roses, won a million most based song for its time. Highly suggest listening to it. Talks about immigrants and LGBTQ and how everyone speaks different languages. Talks about super predators and commie police. Radicals and racists. Don't point your finger at me. I'm just a small-town white boy just trying to make ends meet, putting Israel and Somalia and every third world shithole first while our young men suffer. Then they have the nerve to call you racist after speaking about it.
Yeah, I've heard the song. Great song. I'm going to listen to that again later today. Good song. But, yeah, I completely agree. They want to put everyone else first besides the founding stocks of the country.
They're going set it up to where Trump and Obama are going to run in 2028. Also, I'm with you, James. All Americans are sick and tired of being sick and tired of the bull.
Not necessarily sure it'll be Trump and Obama. I mean, that would be ridiculous. I do agree though. If Trump ran, I think Obama might too, but I don't think that will actually happen.
Used to like Candace Allett. She's a effing lunatic. She chugs nuts now. Covert feminist. I should have known.
Yeah, I think Candace has fallen off the deep end.
DJT has always been a tiny hat Democrat. Just the final piece of the Trojan horse to introduce Bolshevism to the U.S.
Yeah, Trump sold his soul, and he's always been a liberal. You're all right about that.
Worst president we've ever hired. Absolute piece of shit flag of the United States.
Yeah, Trump has really been a disappointment.
Hey James, the first I'm about to go get a sleeve done on my right arm. Can you send me your show's logo so I can find a spot for it? Thanks.
If you're actually gonna do that, DM me and I'll send you it. That's crazy. Send me a picture. I'll put it on the show later too. If you actually do that, that's crazy.
Sleeves will be a fad like tribals were in the 90s. Goofball, don't do it.
Possibly.
Hey man, do you think Bigfoot is a result of an Alabama family love triangle?
Yeah, possibly. Maybe some guy fucked his sister in Alabama and Bigfoot came out. You might be onto something there. Have you shared your findings with the science community?
We don't want a race war. We don't want a civil war. We want a revolution back to our founding fathers' core values, back to 1776 and our Constitution and Declaration.
Damn right, brother.
Mossad Media Incorporated.
Yeah, they're everywhere. Mossad's fucked. Mossad Media Incorporated.
Trump is wild. I'm just hoping deportations increase over the next 3 years at this point. My insurance premium for my commercial poultry farm increased from $5,600 to $10,000 with no claims ever. I was able to take advantage of the 08 crisis when I got out of college and got a good job, and around 2010 when everything was dirt cheap I started buying land and bought a foreclosed home that I still live in. My goal is to buy as much land as possible so I can pass it on to my children.
You're a great father for that. That's awesome. But yeah, it's getting crazy out there.
The reason I'm saying this is BC of how you speak on Gen Z being fucked. They are in a lot of ways, and inflation is crazy RN, but I was a young poor guy in the middle of the worst recession in recent history and became a millionaire because of hard work and risk taking. You gotta grind, bud. Couldn't tell you how many weeks I've worked 7 days and over 12 hours a day. Don't let the victim mentality take over.
I'm with you there. I work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, not just at this, with other things too. I agree. You got to be willing to put the work in and grind. But I don't necessarily think that's the problem with like some people, but I don't necessarily think that's the massive problem.
You, sir, are a complete effing moron.
Why? Go cry about it. Fuck you. I guarantee I'm smarter than you.
Just the way you say it when reading comments. Love from England, Jimmy P.
Thank you. I think that's what you're talking about.
Are you not monetizing your content, Joker?
Yeah, the difference between me monetizing and Candace is I'm not saying, and find out more tomorrow. That's the fucking difference. If you knew how to listen, though, you'd get that. But no, you're too retarded to understand that. So, you just lack the critical thinking skills or IQ skills or listening skills.
One Nation Under Blackmail explains pretty well how the thugs got a hold of our government.
Yeah, we've been blackmailed for a very long time.
Once again, some transparency. Charlie Kirk asked 2 days after October 7th, can I ask if there was a stand-down order, because when I went to Israel it looked so secured, but later after he saw how Hamas prepared by manipulating Israel into thinking they won't attack and they trained very well, so Charlie did switch his mind. So don't use Charlie as your backbone for anti-Israel comments.
He's not the backbone at all, but he's one of the people who definitely... Like, again, are you going to deny the text messages he sent where he said, I am forced to leave the pro-Israel cause that was confirmed by Turning Point USA? And are you going to deny that, which has been proven, that Bibi Netanyahu and Israel funded Hamas? Are you going to deny those things? They've been proven.
I'm rich because I have daddy credit card, so he would not want me to fight.
That's gay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. But didn't Charlie start to turn against Israel towards the end of his life?
I think it was the opposite way. I don't think Charlie turned on Israel. I think Israel turned on him.
Trump is a fraud. Defund NATO and liberate America, hands pressed together.
Yeah, not just NATO, but yeah.
33%, 133%, 1776. Year of the birth of Freemasons.
Sick.
Is it today the Epstein files are released?
Friday. Tomorrow. That'll be the featured story of the show tomorrow.
They'll guy America and sell it to highest bidder before the Epstein file ever come out.
No, they'll come out tomorrow. They'll just be very redacted.
My goat Trump washed crying face.
I know. It kind of reminds me of, like, I'm a big UFC guy. It kind of reminds me of, like, all my favorite fighters now are just washed up old dudes. You know? Like, all my favorite fighters now are the guys who aren't the champions anymore, but were the champions in the past. And it kind of feels like that's what we're watching. It's like Trump was a fucking champion in 2015, 2016. And now he's just like a shell of himself who's just like a media slut.
I'm Jewish, and I can say FCK Mark Levin, Miriam Adelson, and all of these other horrible $sign Joels. Persian Jews aren't like this.
Kind of based.
Absolutely love the show. Been listening about 6-7 months now. I agree with you on 99.9% of the topics you speak on, but I really think you should try to stay from telling the trolls to kill themselves. Strictly speaking, from a Christian point of view, it comes off very hateful, and that's not what we're about. Don't tear into me too hard. I'm rooting for you, brother.
I wouldn't tear into you at all. I mean, I don't know. I hope most people know. And I responded this in the comments. I said 99% of the time I say that I'm kidding. There's that 1% where I'm like, eh.
Definitely get what you're saying. I just don't want people who don't get it to try and use your words against you. Keep up the great work. Thumbs up.
Thank you.
Flea-sized Nick to me. See ya.
Learn how to spell, retard.
I always give you props, but I have one criticism. You pronounce APAC wrong every time. You say APAC, American Israel Public Affairs Committee, instead of Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation.
I know the difference between the lobbies. I just speak fast. I say APAC. And again, like AIPAC. I know what I'm fucking saying. I'm not talking about the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. Like, no. I just speak fast. That's all that is. I speak absurdly fast.
What was the reason for Nick calling her that, like she didn't even do anything to him? I can understand if Yusha would have been harassing Nick or something, but she wasn't.
I responded. I said it's to expose JD Vance's grift.
Then criticize JD.
Do you know what's in JD's book and why JD married his wife? He wrote it in his book. I'm curious if you even know.
Like, I get the argument Nick made when speaking to Piers, but still, like, it was unnecessary.
It's just, again, you gotta understand the full scope of information.
I understand that Fuentes was trying to call out MAGA hypocrite racists when he called Yusha that, but he didn't need to call her a Pajit. He could have just simply mentioned her ethnicity or skin color, and that would have been fine.
Again, like, tone policing people's language is retarded. Who cares?
It's genuinely so as for me to rage bait you, lol.
Yeah, some of the things you say are kind of retarded.
Yeah, James, sometimes you just triggered just by us disagreeing with you, face rolling on the floor laughing. What are the similarities between evangelicalism and Catholicism? And would you ever convert to evangelicalism?
No, I wouldn't. The similarities, they're both Christian, but Catholicism is the true Church of Christ. No, I would never convert. I'm a cradle Catholic. I will stay a Catholic. Why the fuck would I leave Catholicism when Catholicism is the true way to Christ?
First of all, Trump's not evangelical, not a Catholic, at least by heart. And second of all, the other day I told you a story about Israel needing approval from America to just fly a helicopter to the yellow line, and you said, of course, because we give them money. Now you're just changing it all up to get some rage, babe. I'm not even sure some views like help me understand your thinking.
And I responded. I said they should have U.S. permission when it comes to things like that, because we're literally funding it. And nothing about the meeting in the White House with Trump and the Israel lobby has anything to do with that story of, like, you know, terrorists in the Middle East. It's two very different things. So you're trying to make like a false comparison that just doesn't really work.
Tyler Robinson was in the freaking furries. I mean, like, he obviously spoke weird. He's a weirdo. It's not so weird once you know that he was into furries. I believe the FBI's narrative. It can be possible in the text messages make sense, so you're going to have to give me more reasons not to believe them.
Because that's really the only thing that, not the only, but that was like the major piece tying him to the murder, or one of the major pieces tying him to the murder, and I just find it a little suspicious. Obviously, new information has come to light about it, but I just think the text messages are either like very specifically selected out of context and there were other messages deleted, or they were fabricated in some way. I'm not saying that they were all just made up, but I think they were altered or something.
Once again, Tucker Carlson makes up shit out of his ass.
Yeah, nothing new.
It's literally called New York City. Your Italian ancestors were part of the mafia. That's about it.
You don't know shit about my Italian ancestors. My Italian ancestors helped build New York City.
Of the 10 commandments, which one do you believe is the most important?
I don't know. Probably don't kill, right? Like, maybe don't put any gods before me. Don't kill. Those two.
For God and country, Christ is king.
Yeah, Christ is king. Christ is king. Someone put another link. Let's see what it is before I pop it up on the big screen. It's taking forever to load. We watched this video yesterday during the show. I'm not going to play it again. It's the video of Trump saying he's the first Jewish president, or getting little brothered by Mark Levin. We did that yesterday on the show. We don't need to do it again. All right, that's been the entire show. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys are having a great day. Tomorrow, we will do a show all about the Epstein files. I'm not exactly sure what time the show will come out. If we get the files earlier in the day, it will be on time. If they're later in the day, it might be a little bit late, but I will keep you guys updated in our Telegram channel, so make sure to scan the code, get in the Telegram channel. Stay updated on all things America Unfiltered. Remember to like, smash the follow button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. All the comments from today's show we will read at the end of tomorrow's show. I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in, and I will see you guys tomorrow on Thursday. Thank you.